Welcome to Swing Trading and Coffee, YouTube's mellow corner for swing traders. My name is Anthony, and in this video, I'm going to give you my technical analysis of the hottest stocks and a review of both my winning and losing trades. Before I go on, I have to let you know this content is not financial advice. It is only intended for educational purposes on swing trading. In the trading spotlight today, we have the Trade Desk, PayPal, AMD, Tesla, MicroStrategy, and Amazon. First off, before we get into those top picks, we have to take a look at the market to see what it's doing. Because if we get a market pullback in the next couple days or so, it could mess up some of our trades. We just got to watch out for that. So as you can see here, we have this resistance line, which, we tagged through it 1, 2, 3, and today, the fourth time we managed to break through it. So that's actually looking very bullish. The question now is, how high up in this channel are we going to go before we see some kind of pullback? This is a long-term channel that's been holding pretty well. We have had the occasional breakouts that faked people out, and then it came back up. So what we need to watch out for is as we get up higher and higher in this channel, we need to start scaling out of positions, and that's what I'm doing. However, I am still opening some new positions that are just getting ready to break out because they've had some major pullbacks. And two of those are in today's review. First up, we got the Trade Desk, a very interesting chart, and let me tell you why. You got to zoom out here and take a look at the big picture. We've come down quite a long way, and we've formed several gaps. We have one here, and one here. So we have respected this support zone, and we've bounced off. So my thinking here is if we can get a move up to fill like just half this gap here up to this resistance level, that on its own is 23% in profits. Pretty juicy. If you get up to get the full gap fill, that's 62%. And I'm not even going to talk about this gap up here. Now let's zoom out a little bit so we can see how strong this support zone is. So we've bounced off of this zone here once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5 times. This is a very, very solid support zone, and we have a lot of buyers that step in here around the $41 mark. So my current game plan is I opened up a small position, and let me switch back to the daily to show you exactly where I decided to get in. Once we got above this, you see here we had a previous support zone. Once we got above it here, this was once we got above this previous support. So this was a resistance zone as we're coming up, and now we've reclaimed it. So that was my first second bullish signal. The first one is that we got this bounce. We respected that. And then the second thing is we broke above this resistance level. So this now, in theory, should act as support. So we can draw a line here through this so we know, about where it is. And I treat this as a zone, not as an exact value. Now, right here, we are coming up on some resistance because of the 50 EMA. And also, we have this previous resistance zone right here. We did, however, yesterday push above it and wick up. That, for me, is a good sign that the stock is trying to break through this level. It failed, but the next day, it came back up a bit, and it's holding pretty well. So what, for me, is the game plan? The game plan is once it hits about $56, that, for me, if it gets above here and it holds, that, for me, is a signal that we have a full reversal in progress, and it will give me confirmation on the trade. Now, as I get up here, provided that it gets up here and starts filling these gaps, I would start scaling out all the way up to this resistance zone and then leave a little bit more as a runner to see if it can fill this area here as well. Now, this kind of trade can work with either shares or it can work with options. I prefer to play very precise breakouts using options because it gives me a little bit more leverage. But you need to know how options work. And I do plan to put out a video showing my option strategy broken down very simply for beginners. So make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss that video. Next up, we got PayPal, and I have it now in the weekly chart so we can see the big picture. We had a bounce off the low here after a very long drawn out drop on this. It was up at $310, brought it down to $50, and then we've been chopping in this zone here. However, it started looking bearish around here because we couldn't go up and make a higher high compared to this zone. So this was really not a trade. However, it continued to consolidate and it came down to this area, which is the point of control. And what that means is we have an area where there is a lot of volume trading at $68.80. So every time it comes down, it's going to get bought up. So this can act as a strong support if you're above it. If you're below it, it can act as a resistance. So now that we've reclaimed it, we've came above it, that for me is a great sign that we are getting momentum to the upside. The second sign is that this trend line has just been broken. Okay. When you have a trend line that gets broken, this shows a little bit of change in character. Now switching back to the daily so I can show you some more details of how I decided to enter this trade. All it takes here is that you had to just notice that we came down and we formed this sideways chop, right? And then once we broke out of it, that's the breakout. That's the signal for a long. This is textbook long, very easy. And I got my initial position here, and then it gapped up very nicely above this long-term trend line that we were just speaking about. Today it went up a little more. I don't recall if I added into the position, but I need to double check that tomorrow. I think I did add just a little bit into it. And we have this next zone at around $83. This is my ultimate target on PayPal. And I'll let you know how I got this target right now. So we're going to use Fibonacci extensions. This is a 3-point system. You have to match 3 points. It's very easy to do. So you're going to find the biggest move that just recently happened. So we had a drop down here and then it came back up. So this is the first move to the top. And then we had the pullback down to 65. And then it gives you all these levels, and my target here. So the first target would be around 79.74. This is your 0.618. This is the level I usually target for the majority of my swing trades. And then once I get here, I scale out a bit and then a little bit more at the 0.786, the $83 mark. Now, it doesn't have to go hit all those targets. And the higher up you get, the less probability there is that it will achieve it. However, I'm thinking that since we have a big gap up here, and you can see it in the volume on the side here, we have this big gap in volume. So this is really my target, the gap fill at around $83 to $88. We'll see how that plays out. If it looks good, and it is looking good, I may add into it. So on PayPal, I have to ask myself where I'm wrong. So there is a first level here, which was a previous resistance that we gapped above. So this could act as support right here. However, I'm betting that this thing will go straight through, or, I don't want to be in the trade. I want to get in on a trade that has good momentum. So far, it's showing it. And if we take a look at the volume, not so bad on PayPal. These past two candles were not bad. The one from yesterday, a lot more volume on this. So I'm placing my stop right here on $70. And let's look at the risk to reward ratio. I am betting, well, I didn't get up here, I got here. So, my risk is really minimal, like 1%. And I didn't really put in that stop. Initially, I moved up my stop. My first stop was here. I was betting 7% to get a run up here. But now that we've gone above this level, maybe I can tighten my stops a bit. That's just my line of thinking. I want to maximize return while managing the risk. A lot of people pick the right stock to get into. However, when it comes to managing the risk on the stock, that's where it all falls apart. Some people do all in, all out mentality. I like to scale in, scale out. You never know how long a stock is going to run for. You catch a massive move and you will bank on it. And the first one I'm going to show you here that matches that description is AMD. This one for me, probably the biggest winner of the year. And I'm seeing lots of people post their wins on this. If you caught this, congrats. This was a really big one. So for me, the initial sign to that this thing was turning around is, well, first we got to zoom out here and see that we had this long, what they refer to as the pole, and this is the flag. Once you break out of this flag, this is a continuation pattern in that direction. So we had a very extended consolidation. This thing was ready to break out anyway because TSM broke out first. It had the same exact pattern, and then NVIDIA broke out. And then I said in one of my videos before is watch out for AMD. It's likely gonna do the same thing if it breaks out of this channel. And not only that, it peaked above it, and this was my signal to go long. I'm like, this is my entry, and then we'll see what happens. It was a decent size entry, and then the news came out and it just exploded to the upside. So once it got up to the 0.618 level, I got out completely. I didn't want to risk it because I had been playing short-term calls and it printed really nice. So on the AMD trade, I bought 5 contracts at $7.75, and then I sold them for $44.60. That is a 494% gain. Now, I was thinking this needs a pullback, and I'm going to wait for a pullback and see if I want to get back in again. It had a minor pullback, and I was expecting it to just melt down and start filling this gap. However, that did not happen. So I figured, let me get in for some longer term calls. I usually do 2 months out, but this one I was like, let me give it a little bit more space to January. I think AMD has a lot of catch up to do to its competitors in terms of the share price. So we may be running up all the way to the 1.0 fib at 259. I cannot rule it out, but I'm going to be very tight on my stops because a wave of profit taking could come at any time, but we also don't know how long this thing can go. Markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. And I have here some notes for you just about the fib levels, so if you are not very familiar with them, you'll know what I'm talking about. So when you have a breakout and you use these fib levels, you drop these 3 points bottom to bottom, and then you have these levels. I focus on the 0.618, and the notes here is that if you have strong momentum and you could get a brief flag, kind of like a small consolidation, and continue upwards beyond it. And this matches the description. This is a very explosive move. And if you look at the volume here, this is massive. This is really good volume. So this has a chance of continuing up higher, in my opinion. Now the 1.0 level to the 1.618 level, which is all the way up here at 327, there is a probability for it to get that high. I'm not saying it's going to happen in one straight line. That sounds almost impossible, but we could come down, correct, and then go back up there. So if you have a really strong move with lots of volume and you get a big blow off top, and you could get up to the 1 to 1.68 targets. And this is what I'm targeting right now, about 10 to 38% on January calls. I'm not telling you what I'm buying for you to copy it. I'm just telling you what my strategy is and how I am positioning for it. With options, you have to know not just your price target, but where it's going to get to and in how long. Next up, Tesla. I am not going to go too much in depth on this because I am going to put out a video this weekend. It's going to be a deep dive video about Tesla, everything that's going on behind the scenes, what their long-term roadmap is, and what Elon's plan is. I'm going to make it a very interesting video for you guys. If you don't want to miss it, be sure to subscribe below. Now, Tesla chart. My initial entry on Tesla was this resistance here. And once we started to see I had a little bit of position here. I previously stopped out, and then I took another position here, a small one, and then once it broke out midday, I was like, this is moving. Over the next 2 days, it got up to about $424. I was out before this peaked right here, and this gave me like a 5x return. I bought 5 contracts at $565, and then I sold the 5 at $31. Pretty sweet. It seems that I did not have the chance to add into this one. It moved really fast. Next up, we got MicroStrategy. This one, I had been saying that we have been in this long-term downward channel, and we just got above it, which is great. Also, we got above the point of control. Even more awesome. Looks like MicroStrategy is getting ready for a turnaround. I did take a long off of this, and then this mess happened. Yesterday, I was, on the fence about whether I should close out the position. I was using a loose stop for this one, and I decided, let me give it one more day. If this continues to drop, I'm gonna get out of it. If it holds, we'll wait and see. So far, we have this very nice looking wick here, which shows that buyers are stepping in. And the Bitcoin chart is looking way better than the MicroStrategy chart, to be honest. If this catches up, volume really comes in, we could get a nice rally up to 451. That's what I'm betting on. However, if this trade fails, I'm probably not going to trade MicroStrategy again because it's just been underperforming so badly. This is really its do or die moment. Bitcoin is just made a new all-time high, and MicroStrategy is nowhere near its highs, around $543. That's a long way up. That's about 63%. All right, and this is the last pick, Amazon. This one, the cool thing about it is that we have had this trend line here. It hit it once, twice, 3 times. This was a little bit messy, and I did not want to trade it because I couldn't tell what was happening here. It was just chopping all over the place. However, it has begun to turn up, and not just that, it has gotten above the EMAs here, the 13, 21, and 50, and it closed. It didn't close on the highs, but it closed above the EMAs. Tomorrow, if we get a confirmation candle, as long as it's green, I am gonna consider taking a long on this one. My target would be up to 236, and I would not be surprised if Amazon went up to this zone here at 245. I think this is a very decent risk to reward ratio here. And this area here below, like around this trend line, it seems like this is a buy zone for people with deep pockets, likely institutions. And that wraps it up for today, guys. If you found this information helpful, if this analysis has taught you anything new, please hit the subscribe button. I put out 3 to 4 videos a week breaking down a bunch of the hottest stocks and giving you my strategy on how I'm trading them. This channel is only a month old, and we are almost at 600 subscribers. I am very excited. If you made it this far, thank you for putting up with my voice. I've been dealing with a cold. It's been pretty rough, but there were some really awesome picks today I wanted to get out to you guys.